Hello and welcome to this video. We are jumping right into it by watching me demonstrate what measurements are needed for this dress and how to measure them. So the first measurement you will need is the shoulder width, which is measured on your back from one shoulder point to the other. My shoulder width was around 14 inches for reference. Next you will need your shoulder to bust measurement, which is measured from the middle of your shoulder and down to the bust line, which you find on the fullest part of your bust. Mine was around 10 inches for reference. Then we move on to the depth of neckline measurement, which is measured about 1 inch up the neck and then down to the point where you want your neckline to end. My chosen depth of neckline was 6 inches. Next we measure the bust circumference, which is measured on the fullest part of the bust. For reference, mine was 37 inches. Lastly, we measure to find the desired length for our dress. This is measured from the middle of your shoulder and down to where you want your dress to end. For reference, I made mine 40 inches long, but I'm pretty tall, so you probably want to go for 35 inches depending on your height. Alright, now that we have all the measurements we need, it's time to make the pattern. So start by dividing your shoulder width by 2 and draw a horizontal line with that measurement. Then draw a vertical line with the desired length of your dress starting at the shoulder line. While you do this, go ahead and mark your shoulder to bust measurement on the line as well. Then draw a horizontal line where you mark your shoulder to bust measurement and make it the length of your bust circumference divided by 4, and then add half an inch to that line. Next we will mark the width of the dress at the bottom of the vertical line. Mine was marked at 12 inches, which should be a pretty good width for all sizes, but you can make it wider or slimmer if you want. Then go to the bust line and draw a parallel line 1 inch above it. Then draw a vertical line from your shoulder line that hits the line you just drew. On the same vertical line, mark 1 inch from the shoulder line and then connect it with the shoulder line so you get a slope, which mimics the natural slope in our shoulders. Then mark the middle between the parallel line and the shoulder line, and at this point you will go in half an inch. And at the bottom you will go out 1 inch at a 45-degree angle and then draw in an armhole curve that goes through these points. Then connect the armhole curve to the bottom of the dress. Lastly, we will make the straps and neckline. So mark 2 inches on the shoulder line and mark the depth of the neck on the center front line and connect the 2 points. We then cut this out and use the pattern to make our facing for the dress. This is done by marking 1 inch down from the neckline and from the shoulder line and then connecting these dots so you get a pattern piece with a width of 1 inch. Both the bodice pattern piece and the facing will be cut on fold, and the same bodice pattern piece is used for the front and back. Alright, so before assembling any pattern pieces, I went ahead and overlocked all the edges that will be visible from the inside of the garment once the dress is put together. So that will be the outer edge of the facing on both facings. It'll be the side seam, the armhole curve, and the shoulder seam on both the front and back pattern piece. And then we have this edge here that we don't need to overlock because we will finish it with a facing, so the raw edges here will not be visible. And if you don't have an overlocker, just use a zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine. Okay, so the first part in assembling the pattern pieces is to face the neckline. So you're going to take your facing and put it right sides together with the neckline of the bodice. And then you're going to sew along this edge with your seam allowance, and once you get down here underneath the V, you're going to pivot and then go back up. And you're going to do this on your front pattern piece and your back pattern piece. Alright, so here is the finished neckline. I think it's looking really good. It looks really nice and clean. You can see the understitching here, and then you can see the top stitching right here. And that is all just making it lay nice and flat. Okay, so after finishing the neckline on both the front and back bodice, you're gonna take your front bodice and your back bodice and then put them right sides together. And then sew the shoulder seams together and the side seams together. Okay, so after sewing the shoulder seams and side seams together, I went ahead and overlocked the shoulder seams again just to really bring them together, and then I also overlocked the armhole curve again to bring those together, and then I overlocked the bottom edge of the dress so that now all we need to do is fold in the armhole curve to hem that and fold up the hemline to hem that. So that is what I will be doing now, and then the dress is finished. Alright, so here is the finished dress, and I just gave it a good iron after I finished sewing so that everything is nice and flat. And then, yeah, let's go put it on.